Hello, I'm Johnny Inch Jr. and welcome to the series where we're going to show you what it takes to build multifamily communities in today's world. We've got a growing problem in the United States today, and it's housing. We're short in housing to a tune of 4.5 million new housing units. We need to build over 4.5 million in the next 10 years just in order to keep pace with our population. Over the last 5 years, developers have been hit from every different direction, from higher interest rates to higher building costs to NIMBYs, not in my backyard communities, that come out and oppose new development. New development's key for families growing, for communities expanding, to lower the affordability of housing, but to raise the value of housing in surrounding communities. Against what the NIMBYs would say, that you're actually reducing the value of my house because you're building a new community. What we're trying to address is the housing crisis in America, where we're 4.5 million units underserved. So I said all that to say, come along, ride with us. I'm going to show you from start to finish what it takes to be a multifamily developer. But before all that, let's rewind. Before we get to construction and before we move any dirt, we have a long timeline of permits and approvals, engineering, stormwater management, sewer tie-ins, water lines, pumps, a lot of underground work that nobody ever sees. And that's what I'm standing on here today. Raw dirt right before we get the action started. Before we even put a shovel in the ground, and long before we even find a project that we want to build, what we're looking for is two major things. Access to affordable healthcare and good healthcare, and two, the main point is job growth. We want to be in areas where the jobs are super outseating the housing. What we do is lock in on those areas. Typically secondary markets that are outside of the cities is where we target. We find projects that the median household income is 3 times the amount of money that you need for an apartment. What we try to do is zone in on these areas, do our due diligence, look through the properties, meet with the township, meet with the city. Typically they take you to the Chamber of Commerce. We'll meet with the Chamber of Commerce, look at what new projects are coming to the area, and from that we go into a due diligence period and we try to target a site. Once we target a site, we go into due diligence, stripping apart the site start to finish. Title work to back lien search to make sure that there's no liens on the property, that the title is free and clear, that we can go ahead and do a design and build the project as we see fit. After we get through that, we go into a study period where we're really studying the viability of the project. Feasibility and viability are pretty much the same thing, and what we're looking for is an area that's sustainable to a downturn. Typically areas that spike real high and spike real fast in housing typically fall real fast. So when you get into downtown like Dallas, Texas, or Orlando, Florida, those areas absorb a ton of units and a ton of housing. But at the same time, whenever there becomes a downturn, they also sharply decline. We're looking for sustainable communities where the job growth is sustained for 10, 15, 20 years at a time, so that we know when there is a downturn that our properties and our tenants can be able to pay their rent, live a good life, and be able to weather through the storm of any recession. Right now, how it is, for in our region in the Northeast, specifically Pennsylvania and Ohio, that for every one available apartment unit, there's 15 renters looking for that unit. So you just think about the supply and demand in areas where we're building at. One person's looking for an apartment. There's also 14 other people looking for that same apartment. So the absorption is so fast in those areas. As soon as we get the buildings built, they get leased right up. The problem in today's world, if you're looking in downtown and more cities, a lot of those people are looking for quality of life. They're willing to sacrifice a longer drive for that because most people are working remote these days. So the secondary markets have grown a lot over the last 5 years and are becoming targets for sharpshooters like us that are looking to build new quality multifamily housing in growing job areas. It all starts with planning, and Development's like a game of chess. In every move you move, there's a counter move that tries to outsmart you or stall your project. So super, super important at the beginning of these projects, we sit down in a room of 5 or 6 people and we talk about all of the outcomes and what we're trying to get out of the project and what the city, what the state, sometimes municipalities try to get out of the project. In these meetings is where all the major decisions and major obstacles that we have to face get ironed out. And the more preparation that we do at the beginning of the project to see issues like sewer inability to process our sewer, or not enough electricity, because the data centers today, a lot of electricity is being pulled to these data centers and there's not enough left for the projects that we're doing for housing. So what we have to do is get a serve letter from the electricity provider saying that we have enough electricity to build our site, is to be able to electrify our site during our project and after our project. One of the first things that we look at when we're analyzing a site is utilities. And with the large amount of data centers that are coming and they're continuing to be built around the United States, they take and harness a lot of electricity. So one of the first things we do is go to each of the utility providers in our area and get a serve letter. And a serve letter is saying you have the capacity from electric to water to gas to sewer to be able to fund your site for the entirety of the project and into the future. What's a little different today than it was 10 years ago is data centers are now taking a lot of that electricity and not allowing us to be able to go out and build extra pieces of our site out without getting full approval for that we're going to have electric. And that's something that was always a given 10 years ago. You just knew you have plenty of electric. There was always an overabundance of electricity. Electricity today is of high, high importance. The approval process can either be met with wide open arms, or it can feel like you're getting beat with a baseball bat every day. And in some communities, people want to see development, and we're able to go in there and get approvals. And in those communities, we typically see about 1 year to 18 months we can get approvals. If you've got the community against you, it could be 4 or 5 years to get one project approved. And I've heard over 10 years to get projects approved in urban developments. So what we found what works really good in these communities in order to build the buildings that we need to build and get the approvals that we need is we use CBAs, which is a common term in the development world, not so common outside of the development world. CBAs are community betterment agreements, which basically means the community needs to be bettered, as in we need new police cars, we need new fire trucks, we need new parks, we need a new township building, and the developer is on the hook to contribute to that. So what the developer does and the township or the city does is create a community betterment agreement. And it basically states in that agreement what the developer is going to do in lieu of getting this project approved. We've used that countless times in order to better the community, to build new parks, in order to expand resources inside the townships or cities. This allows us to bring projects to fruition and build communities better. So after we get permits and approvals and we're ready to go construction, we go right into site work. We get the equipment out on site and we're able to show you what it's like to get a big piece of equipment, move some dirt, and go into our site work phase. Like and subscribe and follow along with us as we show you how to be a multifamily developer.